I'm going to add the reference material like the turnaround and everything, so that if you want to follow along exactly with this character, you follow along. So in the last video, we were able to create the neck, and if we look at our reference, let me turn this off so we can see what we're working with. As you can see, the neck is being cut by this shape, whereas our rig, we don't have it yet, right? So let us create a color, a shape for the color to reside in. So I'm going to be adding it to the torso. It's going to be part of the torso, so I'm going to create it in this torso backdrop. So I'm going to create a drawing that is Ctrl R, and I'm going to name it your color. Hopefully that's the right spelling. Then I'm going to add and close. I don't need to draw another one. I need it in front of everything, so I'm going to place it in front here, and I'm going to create a peg for it. And as I do always, I'm going to share the pivot, the parent peg, sorry. So let us just create a shape, right? Select my ellipse 2. We're using the size of 2, so I'm going to change it to 2. Using this property right here, yeah, as you can see, we have the snapping tool on. Once the snapping tool is turned on, whatever you are drawing, it tends to snap to any line that it sees. So you can feel some kind of restriction trying to snap to the lines. It helps a lot sometimes, but if you don't need it, just turn it off. But I need it for now, so I'm going to turn it on. Going to use this neck line as a guide. By pressing Shift and Alt is going to draw some kind of a perfect circle, right? So I have this, but I just need to position it better. All right, I think this is okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a color line, the color outline from the line art. So now we have something on the color, right? And I'm going to fill it with the skin color. Okay, so now that we have this is what we have. Let me turn the animation off. Whenever you are working on a rig or doing something that you don't need it to be animated, make sure you turn off the animation, right? So this is what we have now, and I need my pivot to be in the center. And you can either do it manually by moving the translate tool and moving it to the center, or you do it the smart way by getting the script for the place pivot in the center. I'm going to leave that in the description, and you can install that. You use that and it's going to move the pivot right to the center. Okay, so now that we have that, let us do some magic. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this shape by the I'm going to cut this color shape by the torso, right? So what I need is, let us introduce the auto peg tool that we created initially. So I'm going to open this, go to my tools, and I'm going to introduce my auto peg. I'm putting in an auto peg because I'm putting in an auto patch because I'm going to be needing some part to cut the neck to. So I'm going to connect torso, and every time the main thing is on the right, and whatever you want it to be auto patch by is on the left, right? And I'm going to introduce a cutter. Right, so now that I introduce a cutter, I have it here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my auto patch, because I'm going to reposition some of these images. So I'm going to take them from the composite and plug it down. So as you can see, my line art is here, sorry, my color art is here, line art overlay, and it's right here. So that means now the color art is what is plugged in, my line art and the overlay, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the color by the color art of the auto patch, because as we open it, we have a color art on the last, the line art and the overlay art. So I'm going to use the color art to cut this. And as you know, if you have something like this and you don't want that way, you invert it. So this is what we have. Let me turn this off. Sorry, I selected everything. I just need to turn you off. So we can adjust. So as you can see, we don't see any of the line art, and that's not what we want. So my line art was right here. I'm going to place it in front of everything. As we know, Toon Boom reads from left to right, because if I had placed it behind this, that means we'll be seeing this line art in front of our line art. So I'm going to place it in front, right? And the overlay, I don't think I need it right now, so I'm going to leave it, right? So now that we have this, we have to cut the neck, auto patch the neck by the color, right? So let us do that. Let us import in an auto patch. I'm going to place it in U, then I'm going to copy, place, or should I make it by the color? No. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to auto patch the torso rather by the neck. So as we have our auto patch here, I'm going to create a new pathway. I think there's already a new pathway. Where does this go? Alright, so I'm going to auto patch the neck, and let me auto patch the torso, right? So as you can see, once you plug it in, you have it this way. And clearly I think we did a little bit of wrong placement, so we'll do that in the post editing, because I think the head shape should be this way rather. I think it should have been a little bit lower. Yeah, so you can fix that in yours, but this is what we want, right? We want the shape in this way so that we can move wherever it creates in contact with the color. It kinds of trims, right? Alright, so now that we have this, let us start working on the limbs. So if we look at our reference, so I'm going to turn on the guide and I'm going to turn on the reference. So if you look at our reference, I'm going to turn this off so we can actually see. If we look at our reference, this is divided into three. You have 1, 2, 3. So we're going to divide it into 3 shapes. The upper hand, we're going to divide it in 4 rather, because I want the sleeve to move independently of the rest of the hand. So we're going to divide it into the sleeve, the upper hand, the sleeve, the upper arm, the lower arm, and the hand itself, right? So let us create drawings for that. So I'm just going to select somewhere here, Control R, then I'm going to start with sleeve, but let us give which position we are working on. So that should be the right side. So everything is going to start with R. Right sleeve, I'm going to add, going to be right up arm, just something so that we can remember. So the lower arm and the right hand, right? Okay, so I think for now that's what we need. And if I should spread it out using this, we have these. I'm going to select them again, Control Shift P to create pegs, individual pegs for all of them. Then I'm going to introduce a composite as my hand. This should be my hand composite. So this composite is going to be is what is going to control all these limb parts, right? So I'm going to plug it in. Then I'm going to connect everything here so we can actually see. And as we know, and as we did before, we are going to make sure they all share the same pivot with the parent peg. So now let us start. There are two ways that you can go about this, right? If you have the script installed, it's going to help you work with this so easier. But if you don't have the script involved, or sorry, if you don't have the script installed, this is what is going to happen. Imagine, let me just select any shape. Imagine this is your hand, right? Let me make it a bit more believable. Imagine this is your hand, right? So now that you've created this and you want to move it, you see where the pivot is. You can try and move it to the center, but how can you actually tell that that is a center, right? You need something to help you. So if you are not going to use the script, or you don't have the script involved, you'd have to go about this the hard way, which will be something like this. You create this, let us copy, but always make sure you are working on the line art. As you can see, clearly working on the color art. I'm going to cut and put it on the line art. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy of this and place it over the overlay art. This is just a scenario to show you the difference between them. Let me change the color of that. So what I'm going to do to help me identify the center is I'm going to reduce it to the smaller size, all while maintaining its shape by pressing the shift and the alternate key. I can select it and reduce the point so I can keep going. Let's say 0.5, right? So I can keep going, right? So now that we have this point is what we are going to use to target the center. So now when we use the transform tool, we see where our pivot is. Using the translate tool, we can click and drag, zoom in, and just try to place it right where we think, right where the center is. And now if you should move it, you have this. But there's a easier or better way. What if before we started everything, we created our, let me take everything off. So what if before we started everything, we created our rotation point, that is the circle. So imagine this is it, right? Imagine this is the circle. I've created this and I'm going to make sure it matches. This is just a scenario to show. Since we have the clipping on, it's going to try to clip onto the shape. So now that we have this, all I have to do is make sure this is selected and I'll place it right in the pivot. Move the, sorry, as you can see, this is where my pivot is. Using the script, I place it right in the pivot. So now all I have to do is draw the other shape. So assuming if this is the rest of my hand, this is just for demonstration purpose. Now if I should move it, I already have my pivot set. Let me just delete some parts. So if you have a situation like that where you cut and everything goes, that's what I would want you to do. With having the snapping tool on, just use the contour editor tool. You click on any part, you move it a little bit. As you can see, the snapping tool is trying to adjust it. So I put it right there, somewhere closer in the middle where I think I can cut. And now when I cut, I get this. So as you can see, we have our shape and the pivot is set almost perfectly. So you can either choose to go the hard way or you use this, and I'm going to be using the easier way. I think that's the best way to do this. So let us delete what we did and let us start creating. So first of all, as I said, looking at our node view, the sleeve should come first. So I don't know why it's all the way there. So I'm going to reposition that. All right, so we're going to working on the sleeve. So just like we did, I select the color from my line art, making sure my thickness is good. Using my ellipse tool, try to find somewhere close to the center. Alt and Shift, drag it out. Once I think the shape is okay, because I have my snapping tool, once I move it around, because I have the snapping tool set turned on, I move it around just a little bit, it snaps to it. Right, so we have the shape first, and like I did, let us find the pivot before we do anything. So the pivot is found. So using the polyline tool, I am just going to create my torso, my sleeve, sorry, and that will be the sleeve. So we do the base too, and we can use the contour editor tool to place it somewhere that it will be easier for us to cut, because we're going to need to cut it, right? So as you can see, if it's not good enough, you can always come in and edit, or I can just select the one that I think is not working. So we have this for the line art of the sleeve. We can move to the upper arm, and we are going to do the same thing. The upper arm, in as much as the sleeve is covering it, it is going to start from here all the way to the base. So what I usually like to do is I like to copy some of these shapes when I think they are perfect enough. So let us go back, right? Let us go back before we started trimming. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select this oval shape because it's good enough, and I'm going to paste it on this overlay. But this time I'm going to change the color to something like a masking color, because we'll be copying that for other parts, other shapes, right? So now we are working on I just came to the drawing move so I can see things clear. Now we are working on the sleeve, and I want it to cut properly. So using the contour editor tool, I'm going to place it. Make sure you selected the right thing. You can use the selection tool first before you switch to the contour. Alright, so select 2 before you use the contour. Alright, so now I can cut what I don't need, and this is what we have. I'm going to cut these 2, and as you can see, I have some kind of rounded edges whenever I cut. That is because with the cutter properties, I've set it to round, so I have these rounded edges, right? So select these 2, that way I can. Alright, so we have this, and I'm going to go into the overlay where we created a green shape. I'm going to cut that, come to my upper arm, and I'll place it where it was, so it is just exactly where the oval shape of the sleeve was, because it's going to share almost the same pivot. Now make sure I'm working on my line art, so I'm going to cut it out of the overlay, place it on the line art, change the color to the line color that we're using, and now I'm just going to copy that shape again, move it down because we are still using these oval shapes as our pivots. I'm going to move it down here, then I'm going to resize it to fit the shape that we created. And as we know, the snapping tool is on, so it's going to help guide us to get the right shape. All right, so I keep reducing it till it's quite there. So I'm just going to draw lines to meet these two. Alright, so let us fix the contour lines to select. Use my contour editor. Can place it right there so I can trim it. Same way with you. Just making sure it is right in the intersection. Okay, so now, oh, we skipped a step, right? We didn't place our pivot. So what I'm going to do is, I don't want to draw everything again, so I'm going to select those parts. I'm going to cut it out. Make sure my selection is centered. Where are we drawing? Oh, the pivot is already there, so I can easily redo since we already have our pivot there. That way we can move it. So let us do the trimming. I can come to drawing so I can see it clearly. So trim, trim, you trim. But I think I will need this for the next shape. So as we did for the first one, copy, paste it on the overlay. We already know it's there, so we don't necessarily need to change color, right? So I'll come back to the drawing and I'm just going to do this. So now we work on the lower part. So I'm going to come to the upper part, go to the overlay, cut this. Make sure I'm selecting it and I'm going to cut it. Come to the lower part, paste it right there. Then using the transform to place our pivot right in the center, right? Imagine if we had to go the long way round. And I'm going to do the same thing that we did with the previous one. Make sure it is cut onto the line art, not the overlay. I copy and paste it again, move it down. Then I try to reduce it proportionately because I have my snapping on. I try to align it perfectly. You can never get it perfect on the first try, so we try over and over again. Yeah, and once it's close to as close as possible, right? This is okay. And just like we did using the polyline tool, just going to create shapes to meet. Go back to my drawing. Using my contour editor tool, make sure it is right in the intersection so I can trim it peacefully. I want peaceful trimming. Alright, so cut. Same process as we did because we're going to need this for the hand. Paste it right here, come back to the line art, cut. Alright, so now we just have to work on the hand. One thing about the hand is we're going to do something called drawing substitution. So this first drawing is just some more of a placeholder for us. We're going to work on the hand a little bit more. So I'll come to the hand, make sure I'm on my line art using my selection tool. I paste the shape again using the transform. I center the pivot. So with the arm, I'm just going to use the polyline tool to follow this shape that we created. Like I said, this is just a placeholder. So I'm using my mouse just to click and drag, just to get the shape that we need. Alright, so there are some curvature lines here. Alright, so we have our placeholder. Let me trim it. No. Yep. Alright. Okay, so this is what we have for the hand, right? So as you can see, we've created everything. So now let us create the color art for all of them, because we'll be doing some auto patching. So I'm going to create color art, select, create a color art, select it, create color art, select it, and I'm going to create a color art. I come to my color, let us pick the shirt for the sleeve. So now I'm on my color art and I'm going to paste. So make sure I'm selecting the shirt color for the sleeve. Alright, so now I can go to the upper arm, select the skin color, paste it, lower arm, paste it, and paste it. Right, so let us go to our drawing tab. I'm going to turn off these guides so we can actually see everything clearly. Alright, so the torso, the upper part of the torso is just turned off, so I can turn it on and off. So this is what we have, and as you can see, everything moves independently of each other, right? But let us build a hierarchy. You know, definitely you can't move your lower arm without moving the hand itself, so I'm going to connect this. So whenever I click on the lower arm and I move it, the hand is supposed to move with it, right? I think we selected a different color for this by mistake, so let me come to the line art. Yes, make sure I selected it, come to the line color, be sure that's selected, and I think that's fixed. Alright, so like I said, you would want this to move along with it, right? And same way, when you move the upper arm, you will want the rest of the hand to move along. Same way, when you move the sleeve, you want them to move along, right? Alright, so let us create a master pivot, a master peg for it. So this is going to be the right hand, master M. But here's the thing, sometimes you might want to move the sleeve independently. You don't want everything to be attached. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out, connect it right here rather. That way I can move the sleeve independently, because sometimes the character might be in some wind and you have to do some overlapping actions and some follow through. So you want this to move separately sometimes. So as you can see, we have these curvature lines. This is not what we want, and we already know how to fix it by using the auto patch. So I'm going to introduce the auto patch here. So let us start from the upper arm and the lower arm. So I have my auto patch 1 connected. Control C, Control V. Let me give it enough space. I'm going to connect the next auto patch. Then cross intersection. We have this. So now if I should move this, if I should move the lower arm, the line is no longer there, right? Same way with this, I'm going to introduce another auto patch for you, right? And because we are going to be cutting it by the lower arm, we are going to create another point. So Alt to create another point, the lower arm. We go inside, we copy our auto patch, paste it right here, connect the point where that we just created, create a cutter, copy and paste the cutter, place it right on the line arch. Then I'm going to join the cable from the auto patch to the line arch. And there's something that, let me go into this. Okay, that's not a problem, so I think it's right here. Yes, there's an overlay. So as you can see, once we plug that in, we don't see that line over there. So let me turn this on, and we're going to do some patchwork here, so don't worry about it. We're going to fix the line. So if I should move that whole hand, you can see the pivot is wrong. for this. That's not what we want. We want that pivot to be the same pivot that is. So I'm going to open this up. That's a property, layer properties for the peg. Open the layer properties for the hand too. So we have the hand properties here. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the X axis and the Y axis information. All I do is close it. So now it's going to share the same pivot with that. So if I should move it, I have this, and gradually we have our hands working. Right, so put everything back. All right, so there's one other thing. You see, sometimes when you fold or when you bend your hands, there's supposed to be a little bit of an overlapping line, right? A little bit of an overlapping line to show that the hand is either in front or behind. So this is how we're going to do it, right? We're going to do it by using the overlay. So with the upper arm, I'm going to go to the line art. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select everything, copy, paste it right here. Then I'm going to delete or cut these edges. We do not need these edges, right? You can either use the contour editor. Is it a contour editor? No, that's not it. You can use the pencil editor, right, to kind of make some sharp edges like I just did, right? So everything is on the overlay art. So if I should come back to my camera and I move it, let me just move my lower arm. So as you can see, there is this kind of curvature line, but this looks like the hand is you are looking at the hand from the back, right, not from the front. So let us do the same thing for the lower arm so we can see something from the front. So I'm going to go to the line art of the lower arm, select it, copy, take it to the overlay, paste it, delete these edges, and if you want that extended edges, you just holding down the alternate, you click and drag. Just make sure you are not dragging any of the other parts out, just a little bit. Now I don't think I need that much, so let me try that again. If I should move it, as you can see, it still looks like we're looking at it from the back. That is because that is behind this. So let us push this in front. So the alternate key plus the down key is going to bring it in front, and now it looks like you're looking at the hand from the front. So we're going to do something similar to I think this is okay for now. We don't really need any more. Right, so if you don't need it that way, you just bring the hand up, huh? And I think, yeah, that's okay. So now this is what we have, right? This is what we have. I'm going to add the reference material, like the turnaround and everything, so that if you want to follow along exactly with this character, you follow along. So in the next video, we are going to do the limbs. We are going to do the patching of this shape so we don't see this line, right? And we are going to do the cloning of the hands and putting in handles as we go along. All right.